Erev Tov Rabotai, we're continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Bikkurim. We're up to Perek Bet Mishnah Chet. Today's Mishnah should be Le'ilu Nishmat, Neria ben Tzvetlana, Aran Bayev, and Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov, Menuchatam Began Eden, Amen. As an introduction to today's Mishnah, we should know that the Torah divides large animals into two groups: Behema, which are domestic animals, species that are commonly raised by people, like sheep, goats, and cattle, and Haya, wild animals, species that are not commonly raised but are found in the wild, like deer and gazelles. The following Mishnahs deal with an animal known as a koi, whose classification is unknown, and the Mefarshim explain a koi is a cross between a goat and a deer, between a behema and a haya, or it is an independent species that bears similarities to both goats and deer. So the Mishnah says, koi yeshla dachim sheve lehaya. A koi has ways in which it is like a chaya, like we will see in the next Mishnah, Mishnah Tet. V'yesh bo dachim sheve lebehema, and it has ways in which it's like a behema. We will see in Mishnah Yud. V'yesh bo dachim sheve lebehema u'lechaya, and it has ways in which it is like both a behema and a chaya, like we will see in Mishnah Yud Aleph. V'yesh bo dachim shenu sheve lo libehema v'lo lechaya, and it has ways in which it is not like a behema or a chaya, like we will see in Mishnah Yud Aleph. We continue now with Mishnah Tet. Ketzad shaveh lehaya. How is a koi like a haya? Damot ta'un kisui kedam haya. If a koi is slaughtered, its blood must be covered with earth, just like the blood of a slaughtered haya must be covered with earth. And just as a background, the Mefarshim explain, when someone slaughters a kosher haya or bird, he is obligated to cover its blood with earth or similar substance. The Torah speaks about it in Sefer Vayikra, chapter 17, pasuk 13. This mitzvah applies only to hayot and birds and not to behemot. Since a koi might be a haya, its blood must be covered out of doubt, because we have the general rule that we follow, safek d'oraita lechumra, a doubt in a case of biblical law is decided strictly, therefore we cover its blood. And the Mefarshim explain many of the laws taught in this and the following two Mishnayot are going to be based on this rule. However, the Rav points out, because the obligation to cover the koi's blood is based only on a safek, on a doubt, the blessing for the mitzvah is not recited, because reciting a blessing for no purpose is a biblical transgression. Therefore, it's forbidden to recite blessings in cases of doubt. The Mishnah continues, Ven shochatin oto b'yom tov, one may not slaughter a koi on Yom Tov, v'im shechato en mechasin damo, and if one did slaughter it on Yom Tov, one may not cover its blood. And the Mefarshim explain, although slaughtering an animal is a melacha, an act forbidden on Shabbat and Yom Tov, one may slaughter an animal for food on Yom Tov, because all manner of food preparation is permitted on Yom Tov, what we call tzorech ochel nefesh. However, if someone slaughters a chaya or bird on Yom Tov, and thereby becomes obligated to cover its blood, he may not use earth for that purpose, because moving earth is forbidden under the laws of muktzeh. Now, what he does, it's permitted though to cover the blood with ash taken from one's oven, because this ash is not muktzeh, because it was presumably designated by the owner before Yom Tov for this very purpose of covering the blood of a slaughtered animal. Nevertheless, the ash may not be used for a koi, because it's assumed that the owner designated it only for a regular chaya, whose blood definitely needs to be covered, and not a koi, whose blood needs to be covered only out of a doubt, like we explained. Therefore, the Mishnah teaches that a koi should not be slaughtered on Yom Tov, because one will be unable to fulfill the obligation of covering its blood. And even if someone transgressed the law and slaughtered a koi on Yom Tov, its blood must be left uncovered. Now, the Mefarshim point out that those for Yom Tov writes, this law does not show how a koi is similar to a chaya. To the contrary, it really teaches that they are different, because slaughtering a regular chaya on Yom Tov is permitted, whereas slaughtering a koi Yom Tov is forbidden. Now, the reason the Mishnah includes this point is to clarify that although a koi is like a chaya and that its blood must be covered, it's different from a chaya and that it may not be slaughtered on Yom Tov. That's why the Mishnah really brought it in. The Mishnah continues, V'chelbo mitameh b'tumat nevela kechaya, and the fat of a dead koi transmits the tumah nevela, just like the fat of a dead chaya transmits the tumah of nevela. And the Mefarshim explain, when we say the term fat, we say chelbo, it's chelev. It refers specifically to the layer of hard fat that surrounds the stomachs, the loins, and the kidneys, right? This fat of a dead koi transmits a tumah of nevela, just like the fat of a dead chaya transmits the tumah, the impurity of nevela, of a carcass animal. V'tumato b'safek, but it's tumah. The tumah of a dead koi's fat is based on doubt, because the koi might be a behemah whose fat is not tameh. And the Mefarshim point out, they explain, a nevela is a dead animal other than a kosher animal that was slaughtered through shchita. A nevela is a source of tumah, a source of impurity. But there is a difference in this regard between the nevela of a kosher behemah and the nevela of a kosher chaya. In the case of a kosher behemah, a kosher domesticated animal that died, although most of its body transmits tumah, its fat is not tameh at all, like the Gemara tells us in Pesachim, page 23b. However, with regards to a kosher chaya, wild animal, the entire body, including the fat, transmits tumah. Now, the fat of a koi transmits tumah like the fat of a chaya, since a koi might be a chaya. Nevertheless, its tumah is not certain, given the possibility that a koi is a behemah whose fat is not tameh. So the Mishnah says, v'tumato b'safek. Its tumah is based on a doubt. And the Mishnah concludes, then podin bo petah hamor. One may not redeem a firstborn donkey with a koi, because a firstborn donkey can be redeemed only with a sheep or goat, and a koi might be a chaya rather than a sheep or goat. And the Mefarshim explain, the Torah commands the owner of a firstborn male child of a donkey to redeem it by giving a sheep or goat to a kohen. Even if a koi is a cross between a sheep and a deer, it may not be used for this purpose, because it might belong to the halachic category of a deer, which you cannot use. And we will see B'ezrat Hashem in the following Mishnayot how it's like a behemah, how it's similar to a behemah and chaya, and how it's not like a behemah or chaya. That is the Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen v'amen.